Good morning, everyone. Yes. And with joy in my heart and a little bit of tongue-in-cheek, I wish you belatedly Happy Valentine's Day. The joy and love in my heart are in my heart as I say welcome. Welcome to today. Welcome to being here. And thank you for the invitation to join you again, to be amongst you, to share with you. The tongue-in-cheek relates to the social pressures we face, less so today, in the hangover of Valentine's Day. Can we be pressured in demonstrating our love? Heck no. We love boldly and proudly, and no commercials or businesses or friends or schools or whoever or whatever else will tell us to love differently. Except, maybe, perhaps this once, just this once, so my loved ones don't feel out. So our loved ones feel loved, genuinely. Sorry, someone sent me, this as a side, but someone sent me the new terms, and the new terms, you might have heard this term, low-key, when people want to say something, and now it's low-genuinely. Anyway, sorry, too many things in my head. So our loved ones feel loved, genuinely and sincerely. Accept this little kiss, just a little chocolate kiss, this little token of my affection, this reminder of all else I feel. I use this popular, familiar framework of ways we get to outwardly express our love to raise some questions to ponder and chew on, to ask ourselves in this larger consideration of the theme of resilience. What, or better, how might love relate to resilience? How might we relate resilience to love? What is the role of joy in life, in love, in regards to resilience? I don't consider these things often, so I appreciate the chance to explore these themes with you today. If and when you search online to define resilience, get the sense of responding to adversity, of bouncing back. We get the sense of toughness. According to the Oxford Languages Dictionary, the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties. Google AI, they tell us the capacity to adapt to stress, trauma, or adversity. Physical, mental, emotional, and social are the realms that we might be resilient in. Developing resilience is said to give us persistence, emotional regulation, social connection, purpose. Excuse me, I'm choked up already. We gain adaptability, purpose, self-regulation, optimism, problem solving. Dr. Kenneth Ginsburg has the 7 C's: competence, confidence, connection, character, contribution, coping, control. In short, considering resilience, with Google's help, reminds us that life has its ups and downs, and we as humans should recognize this fact and prepare ourselves for it. In times past, or in communities with limited technical resources, perhaps resilience was a reminder of the varied uncertainties in life. The uncertainties of weather, which we're experiencing this winter, for water, the uncertainties for food, the uncertainties of animals, perhaps, and the uncertainties related to other human groups. In our lives, many of these uncertainties have been reduced. Water and food are relatively easy to access. We can weather the weather pretty well. We still deal with the uncertainties or certainties of human groups, and we see plenty of human uncertainties play out in the world today. So how do we develop resilience to life? How do we get tough in the face of these uncertainties? Should we even get tough? Is resilience our answer? Again, I ask, what is the role of love? What is the role of joy in relation to resilience, as we may need, desire, and want to develop it today? The Buddhists often encourage us to start with ourselves, and of the spiritual traditions, I tend to lean on the Buddhists the most. They begin with the framework that life entails suffering, as do other religious frameworks. But no one dies for our human sins in the Buddhist tradition. No single entity carries away our mistakes. It is up to each of us to do the work of recognizing that suffering exists and to build our hearts and bodies and work in the world from this recognition. It is not a heart of stone, however. It isn't a toughness or heart that copes. It is a tenderness requested, suggested, encouraged in many Buddhist traditions. Resilience perhaps built through care for ourselves and for others. In his work captured in the book How to Love, Thich Nhat Hanh states, "If we take good care of ourselves, we help everyone. When we do the work to accept and love ourselves fully, bombastically, with warts and all, we become a reflection and an inspiration of joy and create spaces for love to shine." Joy and happiness, according to Thich Nhat Hanh, radiate from our eyes, and everyone else benefits from our smile and our presence. Joy and happiness radiate from our eyes, and everyone else benefits from our smile and our presence. So what if we didn't just cope? What if we didn't try to control? What if we learned to accept the world and ourselves as it is right now? What if that was part of our work of resilience? What if we oriented our competence and our confidence toward loving ourselves and expanded that love in relation to ourselves and in relation to others? What if we constructed our character not from being tough, but from learning tenderness? Not only from bouncing back, but from taking in. From the position of an embrace toward the reminders of life's uncertainties. Not only coping, but opening. What if we remember and keep close that we are here for so much more? That we are here for love of ourselves and others. That we exist for joy as well. This work is not easy, but this is the work. If you have children, you recognize some of the challenges this work presents. Even with those we love most dearly. If we have been in relationships, and we all have, or we've been cowards to this life, our lives and the lives of others. If you've been in relationships and you've encountered the challenges of this loving work, how do we choose love? When we are challenged, when I am challenged, how do I choose love? I assume that if we've lived long enough, we have faced this question. How do I choose love when I feel frustrated, angry, upset, disappointed, sorrow, hurt? How do I choose love? This is the work, really. You all here recognize this as the work. From congregating, from being with each other, from creating this space as opposed to joining all the other spiritual spaces available, even in this town, small town. We know that this is a challenging work of life. And yes, alongside all the other challenges in our lives. How to choose love in the moments when we are relaxed and in those moments when we are confronted. We lose the people we love. The people who love us will someday lose us. But we also continually live with all the people we have loved. Thank you. The people who love us live with us. Thank you. In our hearts and in our memories and in our joys. What kinds of people do we want to be as we live in the hearts of others? What kind of person do I want to be as I live in the hearts of others? I believe and I'll advocate that we all want to be people who choose love in the good and the tough times. This is the courageous action we can take every day. This may be a kind of resilience, a resilience against the pressures to seek minds over yours, a resilience against the pressures to seek profit over people, a resilience against the pressures to sit back and wait, to act with love, and even to practice acting with love shifts our orientation, our ways of being in the world. Our everyday tasks become less of a burden and more in tune with joy, because we are bathing our actions in love. For Bell Hooks, in her book, All About Love, living and acting with love reminds us to stretch toward grace in our ways, clarity in our expression, honesty in our words, justice and commitment in our actions, spirituality in our reach, community and community, that's clarity in words there, no. Community and mutuality in our practices, and to stretch toward healing in our hearts. Thich Nhat Hanh suggests that true love, the love that heals and heightens our experience of life, builds on 4 key elements: loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. To practice loving kindness and compassion, he emphasizes listening, without judgment or interruption or a goal of being heard, even if we are frustrated or hurt. But instead, Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us to understand we need to listen. To practice love, acceptance, compassion, we, quote unquote, only need to practice listening. And some of that practice has to begin with ourselves. How can I listen to myself with compassion and with kindness? What might still be in the way of loving listening? What is in the way when I try to listen to others? When will I accept what is in the way? When will I learn to appreciate its lessons? In doing so, can I learn to love even more deeply? I keep raising questions. These are some of the questions that have come to me as I've explored this topic of resilience and its relation to love and joy. Resilience for what and to what? That question keeps coming back. Am I to develop resilience toward the problems of the world as they show up currently? Abuses of power, abuses of people, the disregard for human lives, profit over care, hate to hide fear. Are these really new problems, though? I would argue no. They are history repeating and echoing and repeating itself. In The Art of Happiness in a Troubled World, His Holiness the Dalai Lama reminded us that hope and optimism can form a foundation for resilience as well. He was reflecting particularly on the challenges he faced in the Tibet-China issues, and really China oppressing Tibet and Tibetans. In his talks, the Dalai Lama suggested that a longer-term perspective on the current situation can help us see that the small steps we take now can be building blocks to the different world we imagine. How do our current problems look from the perspective of 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Do they carry the same weight? Is there room for action, steps to be taken when we take a step back to look? Perhaps. This doesn't mean the issues currently arising, the challenges of today don't need to be addressed. I sincerely advocate that we work toward a world with loving kindness and compassion as key traits in contrast to individualism and profits. And yet, I still see in myself and in others the challenges of kindness and compassion in the face of contemporary issues. The problems out there aren't only problems out there. There are also problems, issues, challenges I face within, in loving and caring for myself. A true partner is one who encourages you to look deeply inside yourself for the beauty and love you've been asking or been seeking. This is what Thich Nhat Hanh suggested again in his book, How to Love. Today, I've worked to be a true partner with you all, to encourage you to look deeply inside yourself for the beauty and love you may have been seeking. I do so in collaboration with you so that I can be held to the same accounts of looking deeply inside for what I am currently seeking. Peace, peace of heart, peace of mind. None of what we seek comes easily, though it can come through simple means. Listening to ourselves, listening to others, sharing of ourselves with others, being ourselves, our full selves with others, being honest, being as clear as we can, being gracious, being compassionate and caring, being how we want to be in the hearts of others. I believe this is one place we find joy, seeing ourselves in others and seeing others in ourselves, especially when we recognize the loving kindness, compassion itself we sometimes feel we have lost. My wish and hope to you as we go out and go on is to continue to renew the joy of you, the joy of your being, and the joy of being here, alive, and well enough to see the challenges and face them, to do so with companions around you and with compassion, to remember that our presence is a gift, and the presence of others is also a gift, to cherish ourselves and each other, and to use all of this to engage with the world in a way that reduces pain and suffering, that works toward justice and grace, that expands the joys of living, and especially those of living well. As always, thank you for your time and your attention. It brings me joy to be here with you, and that helps to fill my heart and face my days with all of you within my heart. Have a great rest of your day.